We're back at it again this week. What is it? Episode 34. We're like chugging along.
We're up there, man.
If you can't tell, I have a new camera. You can see my glorious beard, some John Elway, this cool little, if I can do my hand right, this cool little like sword thing that I got at the Tampa game this weekend, on top of the golf clubs that I cannot play with. So if you look further outside of the viewing screen, there's a like a swing set for a child. So
you should totally just move the camera over. What about him, man?
I don't know. I love this koozie that Nick got me.
I know. Didn't they say something? What are they saying about him now? I can't remember, but he's just Goodell is insane, man. I don't think he really knows what he's doing and what he can get away with and stuff.
I think he's one of the most hated men in the country outside of Donald Trump, maybe. I don't know.
I could believe that. I don't understand how he still got away with like suspending Brady for 4 games and then taking away. I could see where they could take away draft picks because you're like, hey, as an organization,
yeah,
you're punished. But he suspended Brady for 4 games, and they really didn't have anything concrete on him either. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think the only people that hated the fact that Brady got suspended was the Patriots fans. I don't honestly think anybody else in the league hated it. There's something, if you destroy a phone that often, you just don't. You don't destroy a phone that often, and
I know you don't.
It's almost like not being able to prove innocence is also being guilty. So, I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's just they had nothing really concrete on him. That's what gets me. I mean, what if that were to happened and that happened to Aaron Rodgers? Like, say that for whatever reason they were playing and they got caught, with deflated balls or something like that. Then what would everybody say about that? I know, but now that Brady's been suspended 4 games, wouldn't they automatically have to suspend him?
Yeah, it's almost like you have a history of it now. So now the next offense has to have the exact same penalty or more or worse or whatever it may be. It is a big thing. Brady is coming back. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit later. I mean, we started off the show and I gave you a tour of the room with the new HD camera.
Let's just go right into the Patriots. You wanted to talk about them tonight. Let's talk about how they got beat at home by the Bills. Like, Rex Ryan cannot beat Bill Belichick, and he does it in Foxborough, and he shuts them out too. So I mean, that was big time.
He did. He like poked fun at them too about what did he say after the game?
He always has something to say.
Well, there was one thing he did at his press conference, and he was like, on the whatever, whoever the hell the Bills play next week. You know how Bill Belichick's always like on to Cleveland or some stupid shit, and that's what he ended his with. I'm trying to look on to LA. That's what it was, on to Los Angeles. But he tried to also give a hint, saying that he had somebody inside the Patriots organization that told him that QB Brisket was going to play.
Really?
Yeah, which of course is not true. But
I
know. It's a perfect time for Brady to come back. You're coming off the first shutout you've ever had at your new home stadium of Gillette Field, which always drives me insane because they have a huge hole in the end zone, and it's the only stadium I know that has this gaping hole of empty seats that apparently a Mack truck drives through or something. I really don't know. But how mad do you think Tom Brady's going to be? Like, he's going to come back and he's going to be furious.
I don't know. Remember last year when Deflategate had started up and they thought he was going to be suspended for a while, and he got out of it. He came out and he just tore up people at the beginning of the year. So I mean, I can see him doing that again. Why not?
I mean, that's the sole reason I got him in a lot of leagues, because I feel like in one league I drafted him and Drew Brees. Well, Tom Brady came back when Drew Brees went on bye.
Yeah, and that's what Bill has in the Bush League. He has the combo of Brees and Brady.
All right, I don't want to start Tom Brady anymore.
Why? Because Bill has him?
Yeah, I don't want to start him in any league. I'm over it.
But no, I mean he's coming back. Ninkovic is coming back.
They have a good team. That's the thing.
Yeah, they do. I mean, even with Gronk still not 100%, I saw something about I own Gronk in a fantasy league this year. I've been just terribly disappointed. But like, he's the only one I think that's not 100% coming back or something like that. I
Yeah,
have
but
no
even
idea.
Martellus Bennett is doing really well. He had two 100-yard games this year so far.
He's really good
with some okay quarterbacks. I mean, they both came in and played really well. Brisket didn't play bad this past week. They just didn't do anything.
I know, but the thing about it, remember when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and they like to run that double tight. They tried it last year. Yeah. They got Scott Chandler. I don't know if he's still on the team, but it just didn't work out. I don't know. Do you remember when was it against the Broncos when they just kept airing it out to Chandler like all game long, trying to get him like a mismatch or something like that? I want to say it was that game. Like Gronk had gotten hurt or something, and he acted like he blew out his knee or something.
It would have been the game last year because Gronk didn't get hurt.
I can't. Maybe I'm thinking 2 years ago, but anyway, they've been trying to get something going in that double tight end set again, and this is it. So they need Gronk at 100% to do what they want to do, but they'll be fine with Tom Brady, and how is that defense like? I feel like that defense doesn't have like huge stars on it, and yet they're just efficient, and more so than in years past.
I mean, I think they still have people on there. It's just somehow they make a team out of they get people and they mold them into really good players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that people in New England don't typically go other places and do well. Like they do well there, and then once they leave, like Talib is one of the few that got out that actually is playing well somewhere else. Like McCourty's on the team. They got Branch, Hightower, all really good guys. Collins. I mean, those are, I think, pretty good names in the league as far as defensive players go. But I mean, they always have a no name. They really do.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the Bills play Cleveland this week. It's a cupcake game for Brady coming back, really. What about the Chargers not ever being able to finish a game? I mean,
I don't know, man. That's good for us. We play them this weekend in Oakland, so
they just can't finish. They do really well. They're scoring. I mean, they probably have some of them.
And it was announced today that Barrett's out. He was their starting corner. He's it's his second year, so that's a huge blow. So he's going to be out with like a partially torn ACL, something like that. And then Bosa worked out fully for the first time today. I know. We're talking about the Chargers.
Yeah, they did lose Manti Te'o last week, but the backup guy they have there, I picked him up in the 20-star league. He's doing really well. I mean, he had like 7 tackles last week.
Yeah.
I say doing really well. He's just getting a lot of tackles. Doesn't mean he's doing anything else. I will say the Chargers are 3rd in total points scored, and then only 24th in points against. But they can't. The games they're in, they just can't finish. I just find it a little crazy.
Just a young team. I mean, think about it. They already lost. They lost Keenan Allen early. Antonio Gates has been injured, but that who is it? Hunter Henry that's out there that's starting to get some targets and stuff. He's going to be the next tight end out there. I'm pretty sure this is Antonio's last ride. So Hunter Henry's going to take over eventually.
And what amazes me, though, I'm looking at some stats here, is of the 4 teams they played, the team that I thought would have thrown the most on them, Jacksonville, was the team they beat.
Jacksonville hasn't Blake Bortles has been struggling bad this year. I have him in a lot of leagues, fantasy leagues this year, and against the Chargers, he was at -5 at one point in the Bush League, and he came back in garbage time and salvaged it.
That's it.
He salvaged it at the end, but then Melvin Gordon's doing very well. He surprised a lot of people this year. He was one of my sleepers. I didn't want to talk about it on the show, but Bill got him.
Yeah.
The few picks right before I did. So Melvin Gordon's doing really well for them. Moving forward, they have to draft defense heavy and a number 1 wide receiver because I don't think Keenan Allen can stay healthy.
You talked about that. You didn't want to talk about Melvin Gordon on here, which I didn't either. We really have to play like a fine line on this stuff because we can't necessarily because there's certain players that I like, other people wouldn't draft, but I have that itch. I'm like, oh yeah, that person's going to have the best year of their life this year.
Yeah.
And Melvin was one of those for me. I have him in, I think, every league but the Bush League, to be honest.
I think I have him in like one or two other leagues, but he's one of those. It was very hard to gauge where he was going to go. Like it varied in drafts,
Yeah.
And
like my 25th starter league, I paid $45 for him.
Yeah, if you want, well, that's different because there's it's running backs are high valued in the league because they're so hard to come by, And but the thing about him is you just didn't know where he was going to go. You had to reach for him if you really wanted him.
Yeah.
And so I think he go in like the 5th or something like that.
I can't remember, but Bill kind of drafts crazy anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, I was going to take him there on 6 at the turn, to keep him. But yeah, it really varied with him, and he's done extremely well. But they're young. I don't understand why they couldn't have gotten Phillip Rivers more offensive line help in the offseason. And they might not be in the.
They went after Bosa instead, which is stupid. But how are the we'll talk about another team or two. But how are the Rams 3-1 and they beat 3 of their division players now?
They beat the Seahawks. Did they beat the Niners beat them, didn't they?
The first game of the year. The Niners, I think, whooped them.
Seahawks lost to them. Who else did they beat?
Cardinals lost to them.
The Cardinals are shockingly bad this year so far in the first quarter of the season. And, I mean, do you think it's Carson Palmer's fault?
No. I just think they're not playing well. Like, I think Carson's doing okay. He does still have a couple turnovers. I just don't think they can get like a real good passing threat going. They have David Johnson back there, which is doing better than I expected. But
I don't know how you wouldn't have thought he was going to do well, though, man.
Because
that's one of those
that coach ruins players like in the running back position.
He just doesn't trust them. That's what it is for whatever reason.
It seems like look up some of their stats and see kind of how it goes. 14th points for, 7 in total yards, 7th in pass, 15th in rush. On the defense side of the ball, though, they're 11th in points, 8 in yards, 7th in pass, 20 in rush. So
I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, they're not. Their offense is top 10, right? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, pretty much everything but rushing yards. They're in top 10.
Yeah, so I mean, they have a top 10 offense in the NFL right now, and for whatever reason, and their defense isn't that bad. I mean, it's not in the bottom quarter of the league, right? You didn't say anything in like the late 20s or anything. So you would think that they would at least, pull out some of these wins because they have experience, especially not lose to the Rams.
But the thing is, they barely lost to the Pats. They dismantled the Bucks like 40 to almost nothing. Yeah. Buffalo destroyed them, and the Rams squeaked by.
The thing is, the Buffalo, we just talked about them against the Patriots, so they're looking pretty solid. So
yeah, in that league, their players led all the pass rush and receiving category except for Buffalo, and that was LaShawn McCoy with the rush. But I don't know, maybe they're just getting past bad breaks. I mean, you got dismantled by the Bucks, barely beat by the Rams, which the Rams have squeaked by almost all their wins. First game of the year they lost, they got beat bad. Beat Seattle by a couple of field goals, squeaked out against Tampa by like 5, and then beat Arizona, I think, by a field goal or somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
But, all the stats we just talked about, the Rams are 30th, 32nd, 30th, 30th.
In offense?
Yeah, so let's just say their offense is 30th in the league. Though? Defense is 9th in points, 23rd in yards, and then 23rd in pass and 17th in rush. It's still bad. So it's just, what the hell? Like, what are they doing?
Can you have a winning record with stats like those? I mean, going forward, do you think that they're going to – what's their schedule like? Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah, they play Buffalo, Detroit, Giants, Carolina, Jets, Miami, no Orleans, the Pats, the Falcons, the Hawks again, and then they finish out the NFC West.
Right now, they would lose to the Bills. They would lose to the Pats,
Well, I mean, we're gonna
probably.
find out. I mean,
This, and then Atlanta. We're going to talk about them a little bit later.
let's just talk about them now.
Yeah, we'll talk about them. But that's another team. How were they? Were they 4-0? They should have lost to Oakland. I'm sorry, Oakland's defense. I don't know what they were doing.
We're talking about Atlanta.
Yeah, we're talking about Atlanta now. They should be 3-1, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Raiders fan, but our defense was not there, and we kept up with them at points for the most part.
They are 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
I said they are 3-1. They lost to Tampa Bay the first game of the year.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Week 1 is so weird, man.
It really is. That's Tampa's only win right now.
They do not look good.
Last week, though, like everybody's talking about, they destroyed. Well, Julio Jones single-handedly destroyed the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
300 yards? Maybe I think he might have had a touchdown. But
he had how many touchdowns did he have? I know he had one for a fact. I was watching stuff on him earlier, and they just could not cover him, man. Why are you? I don't get it. Why can you not figure out a way to just neutralize their number one? Number one guy.
They destroyed. How do you think they're going to do this week against the Broncos? And Mile High, and Freeman may not play.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they can do it. I mean,
Coleman may not play.
Their defense isn't that great.
I think it's offensive line is what's going to kill them.
We'll see, man. I mean, think about it. The Raiders. Granted, we have a pretty high ranked offense this year. We kept up with them in points, and I mean, the Broncos' defense is so good that they can. I'd say that the Broncos will be able to hold Atlanta to no more than 16 points.
I mean, Jameis Winston got sacked 5 times this past weekend. I was trying to see how many turnovers. He had 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to have to see, but like I said, I don't think that the Falcons will be able to score more than 16. So think about the Broncos offense. It's not that powerful. I mean, you don't know who your quarterback's going to be right now. So as long as they can, find a way to score at least 2 touchdowns, a couple field goals, they'll be able to edge out over the Falcons. The thing is,
this is going to be the easiest defense they face yet this year.
I know, but I'm saying that if you have a rookie quarterback, you don't know what you're going to get out of Paxton Lynch yet. I mean, you kind of saw him.
He's not even guaranteed to start on Sunday, so.
I know, but I'm saying that if he were to,
I
was score with C.J. Anderson.
So I was at the game this weekend. So went down to Tampa, went to the game. Simon got tackled. I saw him get hurt, and I was like, I think he may have broke his collarbone. Is what I was thinking. Paxton Lynch comes in, and I just start cussing. And the reason I start cussing because his first play, he looked at his first read and didn't move his head. He stared the first read down the entire play. Well, the next 4 or 5 passes he does, same damn thing. That's going to be his problem is he's going to be too much of a gunslinger, and he's going to stare his first read down until they're open, he gets sacked, or he thinks about throwing the ball away.
He's just a rookie, though, man. You got to think about that.
The thing is I don't think he will adjust from the Memphis ways to where they don't play that great of teams, and he can stare his number one down, and they're going to be open or catch it, or they're probably going to be better than most DBs they're playing. In the NFL, he won't be able to do that. And I would almost rather have a hurt, non-throwing shoulder Trevor Siemian out there making the reads, throwing it away, doing something, than Paxton Lynch. I stared at my number one the entire play.
Well, it's easy for you to say that because you all have been winning with Siemian back there. But I
like Siemian. I like Paxton Lynch because I wanted to draft him and mold him into quarterback. But this year, Paxton is a red shirt. He should not have to go out there. Not have to. He shouldn't be out there. He should watch and learn what he should really throw.
Hey, man. You never know until they get out there. That's the best way to learn. So wouldn't you rather him take his lumps now when your defense can support him than say in a couple years when that defense is a little bit older, maybe they haven't retooled as well, and then you're having to rely on him?
I don't know. I think they'll continue to retool, but you don't want the situation. I'm trying to think of a quarterback that sat behind somebody forever and then played
Aaron
like
Rodgers.
shit. No,
and
played like shit. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers came out and played well.
But I mean, usually they know though. I mean, if he's going to be the guy or not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
I
I
can't
think
think
they
of
do
somebody who
know.
sat behind somebody and came out other than Brock sitting behind Peyton, and now he's looking like garbage.
Yeah, that's a little different. But
I don't think so,
he isn't looking
because he sat behind Peyton that entire time. And then last year when he was learning, he had that Denver Broncos defense to help him out, and that's why
Yeah, but last year
he
he
looked
wasn't
better than he actually was.
Last year he had troubles with drops because Demaryius Thomas couldn't catch a damn thing. He couldn't catch the clap if he had sex with 6 women with the clap.
It wasn't just Demaryius. I mean,
Emmanuel was the only one that could catch.
You know exactly what I'm saying, and you have to agree with me on this, because you see how he's doing down there without a defense like the Broncos supporting. J.J. Watt's gone.
Well, J.J. Watt shouldn't have came back to begin with.
No, he shouldn't have. Not this early anyway.
Half a year off or something. Just
yeah. But now he has better weapons in Houston than he did with the Broncos, and he's doing worse because the pressure's on him.
Saying he has better weapons is a little bit of a stretch. He has a better O-line.
DeAndre Hopkins is a better wide receiver than any wide receiver on the Broncos right now.
Okay.
Do you not think that DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller are better than a Demaryius Thomas that deals with the drops and Emmanuel Sanders?
No.
You're such a homer, man.
I don't at all. I think Emmanuel Sanders is better than Will Fuller, and I think when you average in Demaryius Thomas in there, along with Norwood and Zach Taylor and the other guys in the Broncos, they average for a better receiving corps than the Houston Texans. Because you said he had better
too, man.
You said he had better weapons, and he doesn't. I mean, as a whole, he doesn't have better weapons. He does have a better number one. DeAndre Hopkins is better than Demaryius Thomas today.
Who do you? So you would take C.J. Anderson over Lamar Miller, and I know you're high on Lamar Miller.
I mean,
how would Lamar Miller do?
What is Lamar? Offense? Not as good as C.J. is doing, and the reason I say that, so I'm not saying that because C.J. is on the Broncos, is C.J. is more of a downhill guy that will run through everybody and fight for every yard, versus Lamar is run around, very good at receiving out of the backfield, that type of back, and that's why I like him. He would not do well at the Broncos with our offensive line.
I'm just saying, based off of last year's stats and Hopkins' potential and everything, and how Will Fuller's doing right now,
Will Fuller's doing well, but it's still, I think, receiving core as a whole, the Broncos is better. Number one wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins is better than DT, like right now. A year, not last year, but the year before that, it'd be totally different.
You're a homer because the main two and that
the guy who built a house in the Oakland Raiders end zone because you are not biased whatsoever.
Hey, the Texans' skill set is DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller right now. If you put them against Crabtree and Cooper, it would have to go to the Texans because DeAndre Hopkins is, I think he's hands down better than Amari and Crabtree are.
Just him alone is better than both of them.
You're on drugs. On to the next topic.
On to New England. Yeah, let's talk about free agent stuff. So, by free agents, I mean on the waiver wire. Wilson was talking about earlier. Almost everybody's picking up old man Steve Smith. I know I dropped him.
He jumped 18% or something.
I've dropped him twice this year so far. He jumped up 18 spots or percent for own, just from a 22-point game against Oakland.
Mm-hmm. So he had like a real big catch and run. He got away from David Emerson and broke one off. So that's where a big chunk of his yards came from and his points from that. like
On
40 to 50 yards and
on the other
touchdown.
note, people are dropping Tajay Sharp, Moncrief, Sammy the Hurt Watkins, and of course rehab Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I was talking about it earlier with Wilson. So far this year, people that lead the points, the Jones brothers, you got Julio and Marvin, which Marvin is kind of a shock to me through week 4. I think that's kind of crazy. Crabtree is number 5 for you, man. Will Fuller is like number 8.
That's surprising too, man. It really is.
You got to think, though, everybody's covering DeAndre. So if Will Fuller's open, you're going to sling it that way.
I know, but the knock on him, on Will Fuller, was just drops. He wasn't one of the top prospects, like who was it? Treadwell and Coleman and Doxson. Those were the main guys. And then who did the Bengals get? I always forget about him.
Not
Boyd?
Josh Doxson. Yeah, Boyd.
Yeah, and I mean, what round did he go in, the second or something like that? And so
I don't know.
He's done the best out of all of them. I mean, the thing about Corey Coleman, he broke his hand. He had that one good game, broke his hand in practice. So we don't, we haven't seen enough out of him. We haven't seen enough out of any of these guys really. But
Will Fuller, I think, is the one you've seen enough out of.
Yeah. I mean, like he should strive to keep this up because he's doing very well. So,
if you're looking at on the running back side, people have scored the most points. DeMarco Murray, which I honestly think is a shock. Wilson earlier before we started doing this said, I mean, that's all they do.
I mean, that's the whole Titans thing. I mean, living up here in Nashville, on ESPN Nashville radio, that's all they talk about is the Titans, and they just talk about how that's what they want to do is just run the ball, and that's really all they can do, man. They have no good wide receivers on that team other than Delaney Walker. That is it. Yeah. And so why would you not pound the ball?
After him, you got Melvin Gordon, which Wilson and I talked about. Yep. David Johnson at 3rd. Isaiah Crowell at 4th, which I think is a little surprise, but at that dumpster fire, they don't have a whole lot else to look at now other than him and Terrell Pryor.
Yeah. Now, I read a report one day that said Hugh Jackson really likes Crowell. So Hugh Jackson's a smart guy. He was a good coach even when he was in Oakland. And he helped out the Bengals in their offense. But yeah, they said Hugh Jackson likes Crowell, so that he's probably going to keep getting the rock.
Yeah. Big ads on ESPN, Terrence West, Jordan Howard, which I don't know why people didn't pick him up last week. The guy with the crazy Darkwa for the Giants.
Orleans Darkwa.
Yeah. Cameron Curtis Payne, and Kenneth Dixon for some reason. So 2, and those are all 10-plus points.
Well, they cut Forsett, and
but
they were talking about Dixon coming back, and so I don't know. I think Barry and the other guys are kind of high on him, saying, "Hey, speculative ad, whatever you want to do." But Terrence West did fairly well against our front. He had a touchdown I know of, and a few decent runs. But
so
out of that backfield, I would want West. I wouldn't want Dixon.
Yeah, I would too. So the big drops on the running back front: Shane Vereen, IR, Langford. He's just hurt. Adrian Peterson. People are I'm still holding him on to a few leagues, but people dropped him a lot. What's funny stat about him is that he's starting still in 1% of the leagues.
Those are people that just don't set their lineups and stuff.
They started and never looked at it again. Thomas Rawls got dropped 15 points. He's still starting
on him.
He's still starting in 1% of the leagues. Derrick Henry got dropped a whole bunch.
After last week, he did really bad. I mean, DeMarco got all the work. How many touches did he get last week? It was very low.
I don't know. The big drops for tight ends: Jacob Tamme. It's weird to see him on there. He got started at 26% of the leagues last week. Antonio, Julius Thomas, Jared Cook, big man Cook that Nick was so hard on.
He got hurt. He went out. Back to Derrick Henry, though. He had 3 carries for 9 yards last week.
He's a backup running back, though. I know he had a lot more in the other weeks, though.
Not really. I mean, week 1 against Minnesota, 5 attempts for 3 yards. He had 2 catches for 41 yards, though. And then against Detroit, he had 9 for 40. Oakland, 10 for 45. And like I said, Houston, 3 for 9. So He hasn't. I mean, you would think that that the workload would be a little bit more even, but why would you want it at this point that you're the Titans? You've seen what DeMarco can do. Why wouldn't you just keep going with a hot hand? You know, I don't understand that about a lot of teams, man. They like to share too much. Won't you just go with a hot hand?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think the Titans, they went out and got DeMarco, and they really went with him. They like it.
Yeah.
They're trying to see how it goes. They're really giving him his time to shine, where he can actually go out and try to do things.
Yep.
And I think the good thing is having Henry back there. You don't want to overuse him. You sure as hell don't want Trent Richardson 2.0 going on back there.
Eddie Lacy 2.0. What is Eddie Lacy doing, man?
That's one thing. I just don't understand. Like, people every year are high on him.
I've never nothing.
I've never owned him. He's not even on
I've never owned him either.
Firstly, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up and see what he's doing. Eddie Lacy, he has 23 points this year, 10 in week 3. They were on a bye, of course, week 4, and then 5 and 8. So not a whole lot. He has started in 44% of the leagues, though.
I mean, you got him. You got to start him, man. You probably took him high.
Big things this week. This is the worst bye week for me in a lot of leagues, considering I have quite a bit of Blake Bortles and company. I have Kansas City running backs. I'm in so many leagues. I have Drew Brees and Snead. The only person on Seattle's team I have is Michael, though. But so your buys this week are Jacksonville, KC, NOLA, and Seattle. I don't know about you, Wilson, but in a lot of leagues, it not necessarily hurt me, but this is the first bye week I've really felt, because in one league I had AP, Doug, LaShawn, and then my other running backs were just nothing. And now I'm having to start people like Tevin Coleman may not play because he has sickle cell syndrome. And I don't have another running back. So
it's tough, man. In one league, I have Freeman, and who else do I have? I think I have Gordon, and I have Kristen Michael. So I'm using one of them as my flex, and I had to pick up James White because he was like the only notable running back I wanted to take a chance on. So is Tom. So I'm hoping that
I'm not really sure how that running back, that whole RBC will go.
Yeah, no, but they're playing Cleveland. You can just hope that Tom will throw to him. They'll get something going because they probably want to make a big splash. It's Cleveland. They're gonna hammer Cleveland anyway. So you would expect them to.
Yeah, at least something like that.
What else? What about tight ends? Tight ends this year is tricky, man.
Hunter Henry's going big ups. Everybody's getting picking him up right now, but I think like your tight ends, Gronk has done diddly squat.
Yep.
I don't know of any that have been sure bets.
Olsen and Reed had a big week last week,
but even Olsen has a few down weeks here and there. Reed, you never know if he's going to be. He had week 3? He did really bad. By really bad, I mean he's a tight end. You can't anchor your team on that.
No, Olsen. It was.
He had 8 points week 3, 9 points week 1.
Who, Reed?
No, Olsen.
Yeah, I'm looking at him in week 2. He destroyed San Fran. He had that huge touchdown catch.
Yeah.
Last week against Minnesota, he had in our league 7.9. He had 6 catches, 64 yards. I mean, Minnesota's tough. Minnesota's very tough.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people though Kyle Rudolph is a shocker. Bradford is apparently slinging it that way quite often.
Why wouldn't you, man?
You
every
year Diggs, that's it.
Rudolph, yeah. I mean, look, Treadwell's what, second string? They took him in the
third. He's not even second.
Another first-round wide receiver taken by the Vikings that is just trash.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily trash, but I was high on Treadwell. I thought he was really good as far as possession goes. He's going to be like the guy that's going to Andre Johnson. He was going to be that type of wide receiver.
But I mean, like, you can't beat out and get, at
They
least
have him
third
doing
on that
kick
team.
returns.
Something, man. Oh, well, he's too slow for kick returns. But I mean, like, why could you can't work him in 3 receiver sets? Something.
Quan Treadwell, Roto World. I was gonna look up and see how he had some special teams returns, and I was like,
Did he?
yeah, I was like, why in the hell do they have him back there? I should have
They
sworn he
have
did.
Cordero.
No, maybe he didn't have it. I thought he did.
No, I'm pretty sure that's still Patterson. That's his forte.
He's only playing in 2 games this year.
He's been a disappointment. Doxson's been a disappointment, but I don't know if that's because Kirk Cousins can't get him the ball. Man, I was so high on Kirk Cousins, dude. And I mean, it's
You
still a
always
long
are.
season to
You
go,
win.
but he's kind of struggling. So
I'll trade it to you.
yeah, we'll talk about it later.
I was trying to look at the team stats for him and see who has the kick return or punt return yards for them.
Pretty sure it's Cordero.
It's not even showing it on here. Yeah. What else you got?
That's about it, man. Any notable games you want to talk about? You want to talk about how Kansas City's kind of surprisingly bad?
No, because they're Kansas City. This weekend, there's gonna be some good games. The Thursday night game, I don't think it's gonna be that good. It's Cardinals versus the Niners, but how the Cardinals been playing, to your point, who really knows? But primetime games haven't been the best. Monday night's primetime game is going to be awful. It's the Bucks versus the Panthers.
Yeah, that's probably not going to be the best. I mean, you have for the first game, you said Cardinals and the Niners. So Carson might not even play. They're talking that he might be out, and then Stanton will be in. So I think the Niners defense can win that game against Stanton. Stanton is not good at all.
What's funny, I'm interested to see the Broncos-Falcons game because it's the number one offense coming in to play against the pretty much number one defense, which I actually think Minnesota might be the number one defense. Minnesota, however, plays the Texans. So that'll be a barn burner of a game. But I do think one of the better games is going to be the Titans versus the Dolphins, which, sometimes
it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, but two bad teams playing each other sometimes makes for a good game. This week just doesn't look good as far as games go. Maybe a shootout, Giants versus Packers, maybe not. But Jets versus the Steelers, not really sure what will happen there.
Jets are not looking good right now.
This is just not a good week because I don't think any of the games are going to be like, I got to watch it,
Stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Immediately go to the TV. Yeah.
And really, like I told you, so I want to watch the Titans game. I think the Titans-Dolphins one will be just entertaining to watch because it'll be a shit show. I do want to watch the Chargers-Raiders game. I think it'll be a good game. It's in AFC West. So
the Chargers always play tough, though, man. Always.
They do. AFC West, though, they always play.
This week, I don't know. I just – like going into that Baltimore game, nobody was picking Oakland. Like nobody was because we're going to play a 3-0 Ravens team, and I was like, I really think we're going to win this game, and we won by a point. But there's just something about the games you expect to win with Oakland that they never win. You know what I'm saying? So like they're 0-1 at home this year. They're coming back home. So after being on the road for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a shootout, man. It really is, and I would not be surprised if the Chargers somehow manage to win. But I'm so used to Oakland shooting themselves in the foot. You know what I'm saying? Like, just they should win this game, but they'll somehow find a way to mess up. But maybe they've gotten over that hump. I mean, they pulled out these close games, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Like you said, the Raiders have just gotten better over the years, but I don't know if it's so much like shoot themselves in the foot or it's quite a few of young players, Hey,
the young players are helping Oakland right now, man.
I know, but that's what, the whole shoot them in the foot mentality. I think it's just young players that don't know. You just can't stop. You got to keep going.
Think about it. The Chargers got a lot of those too. And like you were talking about earlier, they keep blowing these leads so late in the game. They just can't finish. So
who's going to blow the lead first, man?
We'll have to see. Hopefully Oakland will do it on home when that friggin' baseball dirt God, I hope they got that covered up.
Nah, it'll be there.
When,
That's I guess pretty much it for the week. I know we've ran a little long. Wilson and I tend when we do this show we ramble a little bit. We have Nick. We don't have Nick holding us to a script.
Hey man, we'll
We
talk
don't really
about
have a
whatever the
script.
hell we want to talk about.
Yeah.
I never get to talk about football with anybody else, so I really enjoy this.
And we don't ever really have a script, but like always, check us out on Facebook, iTunes, Google Play, website ffdraftbus.com, Twitter at ffdraftbus.
Yeah, man, send us questions on Twitter. I mean, we've had a few dudes ask us questions. Direct message, tweet us stuff. We'll respond to you during the day. If we cannot get back to you right away, we do work day jobs, so just bear with us a little bit. So
definitely on Sundays we'll be doing the same thing we always have.
We do the best we can with that.
10:30 to 12 o'clock or something like that. We'll try to tweet as many answers and harvest or leech off of Matthew Berry's hashtags. So, but that's pretty much it. Catch you next week. We'll try to do it on Tuesday instead of Wednesday.